Hey, welcome to the second edition of Everything I Need to Know About Life I Learned from Plants. This segment is called Taking Root. If you haven't watched the first segment, it was about the beginning processes, just about the seed. This is not a lesson in horticulture. This is actually a lesson of growth and development phases of our lives that also match the growth and development phases of plants. I believe that plants are here to educate us as well as heal us and show us how to survive in this journey of life on earth. And because they've been here longer than us, they have the most knowledge of how to do that. My name is Shanae, and so let's get into it. So once you've had that seed phase we talked about, if you haven't watched the first video, go back and watch that. And please like, share, and comment. In that process that we talked about with the seed and planting, we talked about it being underground, being in a dark place, being full of potential. And we as people are like that, full of potential. And at some point, beyond that space of potential, you'll feel a quickening in yourself. You'll feel something it's an awakening of like, I'm ready for the next phase of this thing, whatever it's supposed to be. I feel driven to reach a new level of not just my existence, but my life, my living, my being. And that phase is actually called germination. Germination is defined as anything expanding from a smaller existence into a greater being. And that is exactly what happens inside us when we feel that yearning for something different, like after we've been through all of our stuff and we've been buried underneath all of these things and circumstances and situations. We recognize our own potential, and then that activates something in us. That activation is what drives you to the next phase of your growth and development. Now, what happens with a seed is kind of similar to what happens when we're like in the womb. We grow inside the shell until it becomes uncomfortable to be there anymore. We realize that we are bigger than this, that we're greater than this space, and there's more for us to do, and we need more space. So we shift around and we shuffle around until we can move into a place of comfort, well, out of discomfort to try to find a place of comfort. And actually, it's what cracks us open. It's ironic that the thing that we would shift and shake around to try to find more comfort also gives us a little wiggle room. It gives us some growing room. So all of that, like even with birth, with the laboring and the pain and the push, you get the expansion, you get the growth. And so once a plant reaches that phase in its life cycle, the roots just take off. They go deeper and broader to find water as a source of life, because everything needs water. Water literally is life. We are very much like plants in that capacity as well. And our water, not just for our physical body, we need water for our mind, body, and spirit. And that'll come in the ways of just seeking knowledge. You'll become voracious to try to find new information and maybe try new things and practice new stuff just because you're so voracious for that. At the root of yourself, you're just looking to really dig deeper into your foundational stuff, to get over your things, and all of that will be your foundational work that you're doing. And sometimes when you're so caught up in that process, it's hard to recognize the actual growth of it. You'll just find one day, just like a plant, you'll be, when you plant a seed, you kind of hope like, well, I hope I gave it enough water. I hope I put it in a place with enough light. I hope the soil is good. I hope there aren't too many rocks. I hope it's not too shady for it to grow here. I hope it's not too sunny for it to grow here. And you wait. The waiting is the hardest part, at least for me, as a person who loves plants and I grow a garden and all that stuff. For me, the waiting is the hardest part. Like, I will go every day and look, and there's just something about seeing that first little peak of green pop through the dirt. You almost would miss it. I go out there looking so hard every day, like, is it growing today? Is today the day? And I will overlook it because I look so hard. I'm like, I know I planted stuff right over in here somewhere, and I'll brush it off maybe as like, oh, that's a leaf. But if I look closer, It's just the little curve of a stem that's peeking through the dirt where a leaf will be there the next day. The growth process is so quick and it's so amazing. But for us, when you're caught and you're digging deep inside yourself and you're doing the work and you're praying and you're studying and you're uncovering your old wounds and healing, um, it's easy to almost miss it. But what you can look for is kind of something that you used to do that you don't even have the desire to do anymore, or somebody that you just could not live without. All of a sudden, you're kind of like, oh, I could take or leave them. I mean, I still feel a little something, but it's not something that drives me the way that it used to. Or things you used to maybe be enthusiastic about that may not have been the healthiest practices for you. You just are kind of like, I just really don't want to do this to myself anymore. Those are those peaking moments. Those are those little spaces where you're expanding and you're growing and developing into the new phase of yourself. And you start to feel the warmth of that sunlight, not even realizing it was what you needed, not even realizing that it was so much better outside of the dark place that you've always been. You'll find that as you press through and those little leaves come out, you feel inclined to stretch and lean toward the light more. You feel inclined to expand your horizons. You'll become voracious for knowledge of anything that will help you find the true essence of yourself. Um, let's see. And it goes back to what I said in the first video when I was talking about a peach seed. You actually, as you come from under those layers that you've been covered up with by other people, you'll realize that the shedding of that is exposing who you really are. You might have spent all your time thinking you were a rose bush and you were a peach tree the whole time. And that's the amazing part of it, is that you understand that you could not be anything other than who you are. So that's the sign of your own growth and maturation. That's where it all kind of meets in the middle. That's a way that you'll be able to tell that you're moving in the direction of your own unique existence. You'll find that the things that you thought made sense because someone told you that it should be that way really just don't make sense for your life. And in your fullest, most mature version of yourself, which we never stop learning, developing, or growing, but in that process, the fullest version of ourselves is the one that is 100% authentic. And once you get to that place where you feel like you are fully being 100% yourself, you get to be free in your existence, you are free in your being, then you are really in a mature place and at almost the peak of growth. But there's so much more to this journey. I'm so excited to share it with you moving forward in this series called Everything I Needed to Know About Life I Learned from Plants. So until the next episode, go on, grow on. I believe in you.